Most of the time we take pictures to remember something later, but with this camera the photos feel like memories from the start, like something you've already seen before. Let me explain. A compact camera from 2011 that's easy to overlook, but when you start using it something stands out, not in specs or sharpness, but in character. It has a 12 megapixel sensor, a fast 28 to 112mm 2.0 to 2.8 manual zoom lens. It features Fujifilm's classic film simulations like Velvia and Astia, shoots both JPEG and RAW, and got dials for exposure and shooting modes. And a beautiful retro magnesium alloy body that feels solid in hand. Over the years, it's become somewhat of a cult favorite, especially among photographers who appreciate its vintage colors and soft, nostalgic rendering. And the way it handles light and color has made it surprisingly sought after, even more than a decade after its release. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, feel free to like and subscribe, it really helps me more than you think. But anyways, the colors are soft but rich, there's a slightly faded quality to them, not washed out, just a little bit. The JPEGs straight out of the camera are impressive, and they have a subtle filmic character that rarely needs editing. And the contrast is gentle, shadows are soft, still hold detail, and highlights roll off in a way that feels organic. Skin tones come out warm and balanced, and the colors lean towards a nostalgic palette. Not overly saturated, but with enough depth to feel rich. Yes. And if you take the time to dive into the raw files, there's even more to explore. When you start pushing the limits, lifting shadows, shifting tones, adding grain, the files respond with a softness that looks like painting. And the details blur just slightly, the colors bleed in a way that feels organic, and the noise start to resemble texture more than digital interference. And you can craft a truly retro or vintage look here, like something printed on texture paper or canvas. It's not about clinical accuracy, it's about mood, and the raw files from the X10 give you just enough flexibility to make the mood your own. It reminds me of the kind of photos you find in old family albums, everyday scenes, but with a certain atmosphere. I really love this. The video on the X10 is limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second. And the footage has a soft, nostalgic quality that matches the stills. You won't get modern sharpness or dynamic range, but what you get is character. And I believe it has some artistic value. And let me know down in the comments if you want to know more about the video aspects of this camera. I've used newer cameras, they're sharper, faster, more advanced in every way, but I keep coming back to this one. Not because it's better, but because I get a renewed joy for photography again. There is a sentimental value in this way these photos come out. They don't just show a moment, they feel like a memory. They remind me of those old photo albums back home from my childhood and from my youth, and they remind me of a time that's passed, and that makes me nostalgic. And if you watch this to the end, maybe you are too.